Hello, Storytime friends. It's Miss Anna here at the Council Bluffs Public Library, back with you today for another online Storytime. And today I have a really special American folktale to tell you called The Little Red House. And the really cool thing about this folktale is that it's also a riddle. Does anybody know what a riddle is? A riddle means that you will have some clues, but you won't actually know what I'm talking about until the very end of the story, unless you figure out the riddle, which would be pretty cool. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with the Little Red House. Once upon a time, there was a little boy. He was bored with his toys, he was tired of his puzzles, and he just wasn't interested in any of his books right now. And so he said to his mother for the 100th time, "Mother, what should I do?" Have you ever done that? Been so bored that you ask your grown-up, "What should I do?" Well, the little boy asked his mother, and she said, "I have a mission for you. Your mission is to find a little red house with no doors and no windows and a star inside." "But where will I find it?" the little boy asked. And his mother said, "Follow the path across the fields, past the barn, and over the hill, all the way toward Granny's house, and you will find it. Hurry back and tell me about your journey." And so the little boy put on his jacket, and he put on his hat, and he started walking down the path. Now, before long, he saw a little girl, and she was dancing in the bright sunshine. Can you make a sunshine with your arms for me? Yep, she was dancing in the sunshine, and the little boy asked her, "Do you know where I can find a little red house with no doors and no windows and a star inside?" And she said, "What a strange question. I have no idea, but you can ask my father, the farmer. He's just over at the barn." And so the little boy continued on his walk until he came to the big red barn. And there he found the farmer standing next to barrels of big, fat, brown potatoes and buckets full of yellow squash and golden pumpkins. And the little boy asked the farmer, "Do you know where I can find a little red house with no doors and no windows and a star inside?" And the farmer said, "I have lived many years, but I have never seen a house like that. Maybe you should ask your granny, though. She knows so many things: how to make delicious homemade cookies, how to stretch taffy, and how to knit beautiful warm mittens. Maybe she will be able to tell you." And so the little boy continued over the hill, where he found his granny sitting on her front porch, rocking in her rocking chair, working on some knitting. She had lots of wrinkles and such a sweet face. And the little boy said, "Granny, do you know where I can find a little red house with no doors and no windows and a star inside?" And Granny said, "Oh my, I'm sorry, I don't. That house sounds lovely though. Red is such a nice color, and with no doors and no windows, it's sure to be warm and cozy inside on a cold night. And I bet the starlight is so nice to read by. I'm not sure though, but I think you should ask the old apple tree down by the pond. It is as old as the stars and much wiser than I. The tree will know." Now, my friends, can trees talk? I've never met a tree that talks. If you have, you should introduce me to it. Well, we know that trees probably don't talk, right? But the little boy knew that Granny always told the truth. And so he walked up to the tree. He looked way up in its branches. Can you look up with him? Yep, he looked up into the branches, and he hoped that the tree would answer. And he asked one more time, "Do you know where I can find a little red house with no doors and no windows and a star inside?" Well, just then the little boy felt big gust of wind. The tree's branches swayed. Let's sway with the branches. And something fell at the little boy's feet. It was an apple. The little boy looked at it and he said, "This is red. It has no doors and no windows. Is this the house I'm looking for?" "Well, but where is the star?" "I will take it back to Mother. She will know." So the little boy held the apple tight in his hand, and he ran past Granny, and he ran past the farmer, and he ran past the dancing little girl. He came into the house and showed the apple to his mother, and she said, "You found it." "But where is the star?" asked the little boy. "Ah, I will show you," she said. And so the little boy's mother took a knife, which only grown-ups should use, right? And she cut the apple horizontally down the middle. And when she was done, she showed the little boy the two halves of the apple so that he could see the star right in the middle. It was the most beautiful star he had ever seen, living right there in a little red house with no windows and no doors. And that, my friends, is the story of the little red house. Did you know that inside of every apple there lives a star? That's pretty cool, isn't it? I think so. Well, I don't know about you, my friends, but now that we heard that story about an apple, I'm feeling pretty hungry. Are you feeling hungry? I think that maybe we should sing a song about an apple, and maybe we'll even get to pretend to eat an apple. And so in this song, we are going to get to spell the word apple. And so if you know these letters just by looking at them, you can say them along with me. Otherwise, as many times as we sing them through this song, I think you'll learn them by the time we're done. So this is the letter A, P, P, L, E. And that spells the word apple. And do you know what? I know a fruit that's good to eat, and apple was its name. Oh, A, P, P, L, E, A, P, P, L, E, A, P, P, L, E, and apple was its name. Oh, well, I don't know about you, my friends, but I'm feeling pretty hungry. So I'm gonna flip this apple over, and look what happened. There's a big crunch taken out of that apple. Can you pretend to bite with me? Crunch. There we go. And instead of singing the letter A this time through, we're all going to say crunch. Are you ready? I know a fruit that's good to eat, and apple was its name. Oh, crunch. P, P, L, E, crunch. P, P, L, E, crunch. P, P, L, E, and apple was its name. Oh, I'm still hungry. Are you still hungry? Let's flip this P over and see. Oh, they're in the wrong order. I should have checked that before we started. We're gonna flip this one over, and we have how many crunches this time? 1, 2. So we'll say crunch, crunch this time. Are you ready? I know a fruit that's good to eat, and apple is its name. Oh, crunch, crunch, P-L-E, crunch, crunch, P-L-E, crunch, crunch, P-L-E, and apple was its name. Oh, and I bet you know, since I made that little mistake, there are probably some bites out of the back of this apple too. There are. How many? 1, 2, 3 crunches. All right, here we go. I know a fruit that's good to eat, and apple was its name. Oh, crunch, 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 L-E, crunch, 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 L-E, crunch, 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 L-E, and apple was its name. Oh, I bet you're getting the hang of it now. We have 1 crunch, 2 crunch, 3 crunch. How many do you think are behind the L? Let's take a look. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 crunches out of that L. Are you ready to sing it with me? I know a fruit that's good to eat, an apple was its name. Oh, crunch, 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 E, crunch, 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 E, crunch, 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 E, an apple was its name. Oh, it gets a little bit tricky to say crunch that many times and pretend to eat too, right? All right, let's turn over our last letter. What is it? It's the letter E, and see what's behind it. So many crunches out of that apple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so now this time we just get to crunch the whole time. I know a fruit that's good to eat, an apple was its name. Oh, crunch, 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 an apple was its name. Oh. Well, my friends, I hope that you enjoyed our story today and our apple song, and maybe you should just go eat an apple to complete the whole theme for the day. I think I might do that right now. I hope you had fun today, my friends. I know I did, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.